The pro-war hawks that want us to continue to send money to Ukraine so it could be used corruptly and keep the meat grinder there going so that Ukrainian men and Russian men can continue to die in this war, they'd have you believe that there's no provocation whatsoever from the West towards Russia. That Russia is just these horrible, evil people like the orcs in Lord of the Rings and Putin is Sauron. That's what they want you to believe, that any suggestion that the West had anything to do with any sort of provocation is completely conspiratorial nonsense. Well, back in 2014, there was a coup in Ukraine, which was illegal and was bloody, and it displaced the then president Yanukovych, who was seen as an ally to Russia, to Poroshenko, who was seen as an ally to the United States. Clearly, losing one of their biggest allies in a geographic location that's so important to Russia would be something that would set them off. But we're told to ignore that. The United States had nothing to do with it. It was all organic. How dare you suggest to the contrary? Well, let's see back in 2014 as this coup was going on, what Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who's one of the biggest Ukraine war hawks right now in the Senate, let's see what he said when he was asked about it in real time on C-SPAN way back in 2014.
I think it was our role, including sanctions and threats of sanctions, that forced, in part, Yanukovych from office. Now, the question is, what can we do to support this new government? There's going to be a lot of talk about an assistance package. With respect to Ukraine, we have not sat on the sidelines. We have been very much involved. Members of the Senate who have been there, members of the State Department who have been on the square. The administration, the Obama administration, passed sanctions. The Senate was prepared to pass its own set of sanctions. And as I said, I really think that the clear position of the United States has in part been what has helped lead to this change in regime. So.
Now, I'm not saying that Putin was justified in invading. In fact, if it was up to me, Ukraine would win immediately, Russia would go home, and the lives would stop being lost on both sides of the ledger. But the idea that we look at this so one-sided and we buy into the propaganda from the very people who meddled in the region in the first place, which leads to outcomes like this being all the more likely to occur, and now they're saying, shut up, Americans, we have to continue to fund this in perpetuity. Because Ukrainians dying facing Russians is good for us because of morality, because Russia's interfering in other countries and doing bad things in other countries, things the United States would never do. And you're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you think the United States had anything to do with interfering in the democracy of Ukraine. It's so old and so tiresome. Don't let them rewrite history. There's tons of evidence, not just of Murphy, but of Republicans, Democrats, etc., way back in 2014 talking about how, oh, it's a great thing that the United States is helping this revolution and we'll get real democracy there that will harm Russia. Now we bear the fruits of that now, and we're told that the American people have to make more sacrifices in funding this never-ending war. It's time to stop and have peace.